You walk into a room and forget why you went there. You open your phone and suddenly don't remember what you were about to do. You try to recall something simple, a name, a task, a thought you just had, and it's gone. Not completely, but just out of reach. And after a while, a quiet thought starts forming. Something's wrong with me. Why am I so forgetful? Why can't I focus like I used to? But what if that's not the real problem? What if you're not becoming forgetful? What if your mind is just overloaded? Because memory doesn't fail randomly. It follows patterns. And one of the most common reasons it starts slipping is not because your brain is weak, but because it's carrying too much at once. Your brain has a system called working memory. Think of it like a small mental workspace. It's where you hold information temporarily while you think, decide, or act. But here's the limitation. Working memory is extremely limited. It can only hold a few pieces of information at a time. Not everything, just a small number. And when that space fills up, something has to drop. That's when you forget. Not because the memory disappeared, but because it never had the space to fully settle. Now think about your daily life. Notifications, conversations, tasks, things you need to remember later, things you're trying not to forget right now. Your brain is constantly switching between inputs, and every time you switch, your working memory resets slightly. It's like trying to carry water in your hands while someone keeps interrupting you. Some of it spills, not because your hands are broken, but because you're being overloaded. There's another system involved here. Your brain's attention network. Attention decides what information gets processed deeply and what gets ignored. Memory depends on attention. If your attention is divided, your memory becomes shallow, which means things don't get stored properly. So later, when you try to recall them, they're not fully there. This is why distraction feels like forgetfulness, but it's actually an attention problem first and a memory problem second. There's also something called cognitive load. This refers to how much mental effort your brain is using at a given time. When cognitive load is high, your brain prioritizes survival and task completion, not memory storage. So it focuses on getting through the moment instead of remembering details. That's why you can go through an entire day feeling busy, but barely remember parts of it clearly. Your brain wasn't relaxed enough to encode those memories. It was just trying to keep up. Stress makes this even stronger. When your brain detects stress, it releases cortisol. Cortisol shifts your brain into a more reactive state, good for short-term problem solving, bad for memory, because memory requires stability, focus, and a sense of mental space. Without that space, information doesn't settle. It just passes through. There's also a subtle habit that increases overload even more. Keeping too many open loops in your mind. Things you need to do later. Things you haven't finished. Things you're worried about remembering. Each open loop takes up mental space. Even if you're not actively thinking about it, your brain is holding it in the background. And over time, that background load becomes heavy. So when you try to remember something simple, there's no space left to retrieve it clearly. But here's the important shift. Forgetting small things doesn't mean your brain is failing. It often means your brain is working at capacity. It's prioritizing, filtering, trying to manage more than it was designed to handle at once. And when a system is overloaded, performance drops. Not because it's weak, but because it's full. So the next time you forget something simple, pause before labeling yourself as forgetful. Look at what your mind has been carrying, how many things you've been juggling, how often your attention has been split. Because most of the time, it's not that your memory is getting worse, it's that your mental space is getting smaller. And the solution isn't forcing your brain to remember more, it's giving it less to hold at once. Because when your mind has space again, memory doesn't need to be forced. It starts working the way it was always meant to.